Hey guys, welcome back to Hanging Out with Lori. How are you today? I am grateful that today is Fragrance Friday. Make sure you go check out Janine, Tara, and Mel. All of their links will be down below for you to go check them out. Today's Fragrance Friday is a little different. It came about because I was talking to a friend earlier this week, about if her perfume was going to be okay because of where she had it stored, how she had it stored. And so I thought, there's nothing wrong with getting a little 411 on fragrance. So let's dive into this pool of fragrance intel. Most fragrances are made up of a 3-part pyramid, starting with the top, going into the middle, and then down to the base. Okay, the top notes come into play about within the first 15 minutes of application. They are the first to evaporate off of your skin. Perfumers use interesting, spicy, or even weird scents in order to draw you into a fragrance, but they're not meant to last. The middle, which is also known as the heart, is most present around the 3 to 4 hour mark. It's the most remembered part of the fragrance. Because the chemicals that are created to make up the middle, they evaporate the slowest on your skin. And so it's what your brain remembers the most. That's the heart. Then the base notes, or the bottom, which is also another word for it, it appears about 5 to 8 hours into your fragrance, depending on what concentration you have. But it's meant to boost and strengthen the top and middle notes. It, what they call, fixes the fragrance, or what I call it gives it leg. That's what you guys hear me call it a lot. And they're calling it it fixes. It adheres the fragrance. It grounds it. Most often in the base, you'll get musky, watery, mossy, woody notes, and sometimes synthetic notes will often be placed at the base. So what is fragrance made up of? Fragrance is made up of alcohol, water, and molecules. Those molecules can be natural or synthetic. The molecules also are what carry the scent. The molecules are sending a message to your brain telling you whether or not you like this scent. So the mixture of alcohol, water, and those molecules is creating what your perception is of a fragrance. Now, the most concentrated fragrance out there is perfume oil. Perfume oil is composed of 90% alcohol and 2% water. So with perfume oils, all those molecules are so condensed into that 98-2 mixture that they become jumbled. What your nose smells as something sweet, it can't pull apart what that smell is. You're smelling something that is sweet, but it can't, your brain can't say, oh, that's papaya. It's because those molecules are so dense, so highly concentrated, that it's just kind of a jumbled mess, if you will. Now that makes me think of Jordan when we bought her a perfume oil right before she left Hawaii, and she wasn't sure she liked it. Now it makes me think, well, that makes sense. Why? Because it really wasn't making any sense to her that, that oil wasn't. Since the highest concentration is perfume oil, anything below that is a mixture of perfume oil diluted in an alcohol base. And sometimes there is coloring in a fragrance. Why it is mixed in an alcohol base is because the alcohol spreads out the smells so you can distinguish them. You can now smell that papaya versus just a sweet note. And diluting the perfume oil makes it more enjoyable. So there are 5 different classifications of fragrance, meaning perfume oil diluted in alcohol. The lowest is eau fraiche, meaning its translation means fresh water. It is the most diluted of fragrance, and it's made up of 1 to 3% perfume oil. And it usually lasts for about an hour. Now the next one is cologne or eau de cologne. It is the oldest term for perfume. In North America, it's used to describe masculine scents. It's made up of 2 to 4% perfume oil, and it tends to be used in fragrances for younger people. Cologne lasts around 2 hours, and that is a general number. Keep in mind that some concentrations do last longer on the skin than others. Like my Chanel No. 5 cologne lasts much longer than 2 hours versus maybe one of my eau de toilettes, which I'm lucky if I'm getting an hour out of. So keep that in mind, that these numbers of longevity are not set in stone. They depend on the fragrance itself. The next classification is toilette or an eau de toilette. An eau de toilette has between 5 and 15% perfume oil, and it usually lasts about 3 hours. Now, like I said, keep in mind, those are just numbers. My pink sugar lasts me throughout the night. I can still smell it in the morning. Where my Viva La Juicy, I get about 2 hours performance. Eau de Parfum is the next step, or the next highest concentration. It is historically a genderless classification. 15 to 20% of its composition is perfume oil, and it lasts between 5 to 8 hours. Now, Parfum itself has a perfume oil concentration of 20 to 30%. It is slightly oilier in consistency, but it is still in an alcohol base. So it isn't a perfume oil. It isn't an oil, but it is oilier because of its higher concentration of the perfume oil. One application of a parfum can last up to 24 hours. So it does have lots of staying power. Now, the word parfum is a corruption. This is a quote, a corruption of the Latin phrase perfumum, which means through smoke. So that's how the word perfume came about. It is also the most expensive of all fragrance options. Perfume emits its smell but through evaporation, and they evaporate even faster on warm and dry skin versus cool and oily skin. So that's why it's recommended that fragrance is applied to a clean, lotioned body, preferably right after you've taken a shower, because your pores are open and the perfume oil can sink into those open pores, and it can meld with your skin's natural oils, creating your own unique scent. The more hydrated your skin is, even if you have oily skin, that counts as hydration. The longer your fragrance will last. Many people like to, rub or push their wrists together when they first apply a perfume. Why this is an action that you shouldn't do, it's actually a scientific reason why you shouldn't. And that is because fragrance is made up of, or perfume oil is made up of, alcohol, water, and molecules. When you rub your wrists together, you are crushing those molecules or bruising them, which in return is changing their scent. You are not getting the scent that the fragrance is meant to be giving, because those molecules have been damaged. Now, another controversial thing is spraying your perfume onto your clothing. I personally do not. It's a personal preference to do it, but why they say not to is because you do not get the full story of the fragrance. It needs your body temperature, your body heat, your body chemistry and oils in order to make the scent that it smells like on you. Now, it's going to smell pretty on your coat or your clothes, and it will make the scent last if you, quote unquote last, because it never has a chance to go through its projection, but you don't get the whole dance of the perfume because it doesn't have that, it isn't able to melt with your skin's natural oils. So what you smell on your coat and what you smell like are two different things. While spraying fragrances usually will not damage your clothes, like I talked about at the beginning, some fragrances do put colorants into their fragrances, and that could damage your clothing. And so what you want to do is just spray it onto a piece of paper and see if there's an oily residue, see if there's a discoloration of the paper. There should be neither. It should just evaporate, and there should be nothing. If either of those happen, please do not spray it on your clothing. You do not want to ruin it by one spray because a perfumer has put a colorant into this new fragrance you have. If you have a fragrance that you can't smell anymore, you've been wearing it for years and you can no longer smell it, or even a few months and you can't smell it, that is because your nose has become used to it. Your brain, that whole, everything that's tied together can no longer smell the scent. But that doesn't mean those around you can't smell it. So you've just become desensitized. That's all it is. Make sure you don't overspray because that affects those around you. If you only sprayed 2 sprays when you first started wearing it, continue to use only 2 sprays. You could also layer it with another fragrance to give it some more body, so it's a fuller bouquet. Like I talked about, I use my pink sugar to use as when I layer gourmands to give it more body, more length, more volume. And you could also spray it in less likely areas, such as on your ankles, behind your knees. That way, as the scent rises, you may start to smell it again because it takes a while for it to rise up. Now for storage, the whole reason why I started this thing, one reason why storage is so important is because visible light can bust the bonds in the fragrance molecules, which will destroy your fragrance. Also, the bright sun can singe your perfume in less than a week, again destroying your fragrance. Also, air can corrode your fragrance through oxidation, so think of an uncorked bottle of wine. Sooner or later it will turn to vinegar. So it's best to keep it cool, room temperature. Find a happy medium where you can in between that, preferably dark, definitely not in direct sunlight or in where you get a lot of sun, even if it's indirect, but the room is extremely sunny. That is not good either. And if you live in a hot, humid area, store it where it's cool and dry, but not cold. Now, Jordan lived in Hawaii. There was no cool, room temperature, dry place to store her fragrance, except for in the fridge. That was the only place she could find that a fragrance would last. Prior to putting her perfumes in the fridge, she was losing them every couple of weeks. So the fridge was the best place. Was it the most ideal? No. But even in a drawer, it was too hot and humid. So you need to find what works best for you in your climate, in your area where you live. Just find, a nook, kind of like I do, that doesn't have a lot of light, that's cooler, or a room that's cooler. Maybe your closet is dark and cool. Put it in there. But make sure you, if you can, display your fragrance, because when we buy fragrance, we buy them because they smell good to us. But what catches our eye is the bottle. That is what we first connect with when we look at a fragrance. That's why they put so much into styling different fragrance bottles. So keep that in mind as well. Now, there's some buzzwords that sometimes you hear with fragrance. Some of them you'll know just because it's common knowledge or common sense, but maybe not. The first one is the word note. You hear the word note all the time. That's just perfume jargon for a smell, like orange. This has a Sicilian orange note. It's just note equals an individual smell that you will get in a fragrance. Unisex. It's meant for both men and women. Both can wear it. But I'm here to tell you, anyone can wear any scent. It doesn't have to be unisex. If it smells good on you and you like it, wear it. I don't care if it's a woman's fragrance, and I don't care if it's a man's fragrance. You like it, you wear it. End of story. Who cares? Longevity. That just means how long your perfume or your fragrance will last. Now, the one buzzword that many may not know is sillage. That just means how far your fragrance projects. Or in the candle world, they call it its throw. how far the scent throws. That's all sillage means. So if you see that, if you see it written down or you hear that word, that just means how far a reach it gives. Will it suck up all the oxygen in the room? I'm thinking flower bomb on that one. Or is it so soft it's a skin scent where only you can smell it or your loved one can smell it? That's what sillage means. So that is it for my, little tidbits, a little bit of information on fragrance. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Make sure you go check out Janine, Tara, and Mel. Give them some love and support. And I hope you learned something. And if I didn't mention something you think we need to know about it, leave it in the comments down below. One, I read and comment on all my comments. Sometimes it takes me a while, but I do. But also others read my comments. And, if you have knowledge and want to share it, please do. We all learn from each other. So please leave a comment down below with info you have that I did not bring up. That is all I have for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I already said that, so I'll shut up. You guys take good care. Be safe, and I will see you on the next one.